This is football. I'm Kevin Clark. Guys, Mitch Morse joins the show. Former Chief, former Bill. We get into it. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. What's wrong with the Chiefs? What's right with the Bills? What's right with Josh Allen? Amazing info. If you like the NFL and you root for a team, whether you're trying to get a quarterback or you're trying to improve your quarterback, which is 20 teams out of this league, he has some really good insight on how the Bills empower Josh Allen, and even Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. Obviously, he was behind Alex Smith that 1 year. Mitch was there. So really good stuff here. As a reminder, This is Football is brought to you by Manscaped. Upgrade your grooming routine with products built for modern men, now available at Walmart. Ladies and gentlemen, Mitch Morse. All right, Mitch Morse makes his debut. He's got a podcast, Monday Mornings with Mitch. I have a story that I think about all the time.
I love stories.
After you guys won the AFC West, you won it a million times with the Chiefs, Paul Rudd was in the locker room. And you walked up to Paul Rudd and his family. And you gave Paul Rudd just an AFC West hat. And Paul Rudd acted like a 4-year-old with you. He goes, "No way! No way!" And it was so all you gave him was an AFC West hat. And I've never seen someone more. And I have the other thing I have, and I would not show it because it has Paul Rudd's kids in it. The other thing I have is Paul Rudd taking a creep shot of Patrick Mahomes because he was so excited in the locker room. So I'm just going to give you the floor. Is Paul Rudd the best celebrity football fan of all time? Just because it feels like he genuinely cares so much more than any other. I think the difference between Paul Rudd and number 2 is just between Paul Rudd and number 1,000,000 on celebrity football fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fun memory. I had forgotten that. Paul is a tremendous person, right? Like you hope, you put these guys on pedestals, you're such fans of them when you look at them on the screen, and then you get to realize that they're fans of the team you're on. Super special. So you get to meet these guys. And Kansas City had a contingency.
Wow.
That might rival anyone, right? Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis. I think Eric Stone Street's one of those guys. So I would say Paul and Eric are probably the most active when it comes to players, at least when I was there. Paul, I was just out in New York City doing some workers' comp stuff, and he's so relatable and available just as a person that I was just like, hey, this is a long shot. I'm here in town. He's like, yeah, come over to the house. So I was over at the house hanging out with him and his family, and he was just so kind, so gracious. Wow. And I say that only to say that he is a really unique individual because he's an immense talent, but he's also an exceptional person. And to be let into his home was one of those trips. But to answer your question, I think he is one of those pretty remarkable fans. I mean, he's a fan, and that was the thing that kind of you had to switch for yourself was like, oh, these dudes that you look up to as actors are fans of yours. I think he was just being a little bit kind in regards to me getting his hat and being so. He's an extremely good actor, but his kids are great, and he's been an exceptional person. His wife's an amazing person too. So a real trip to get to know him. And one of those pinch me moments. You have 1,000 of them when you play in the NFL. That's got to be at the top of the list.
You probably get a million questions about the difference between playing in front of Mahomes versus playing in front of Josh Allen. I have a very specific one. Whose cadence is better?
Oh, cadence is better. I mean, I just had way more time on task with Josh. Right? I had Pat I get a lot more credit about being around Pat than I probably deserve. I was with him while he's a starter for a cup of coffee. It was one hell of a year. He won that MVP. But with Josh, I mean, it just became part of your everyday vernacular. Like you understood the inflection of his cadence. You understood even if you forgot the snap count, if it was going to be a fake snap count or not, just through just subtleties of inflection. So I would say just solely with time on task, it was probably Josh.
You did, obviously, you mentioned you were with Mahomes when he won his first MVP, and he'll probably win a few more, by the way, by the time he's done. Right now, things just look a little broken. When you watch this Chiefs team, and I saw a quote from Travis Kelce today, I think it was, where he said, normally when things aren't going right, and this happens with every great team, when things aren't going right, they have the answers. Right now, Kelce says he doesn't have the answers. He doesn't know. And I think some of it's just – it's not a scheme thing. It's not anything. They're playing sloppy right now. You saw the drop passes the other night. When you watch the Chiefs, what do you see from a perspective of just what's going wrong?
See, that's a great question because I feel like if they were able to pinpoint it, or if Gen Pop was able to pinpoint it, it'd be an easy topic of conversation. I think the thing that makes it so enticing is that no one really knows. They have pieces. I think you have to look pragmatically at that offensive line is decimated with injuries. And I thought they did for what they had to do last week against that Texans defense. I thought they played fairly admirably. Um, Interestingly enough, I was with Kansas City in 2015. We started off 1-5. We won our first one. We lost 5 straight.
Mm.
And I was a rookie, so my head was in a blender. I didn't really have any perspective on anything. But I remember Coach Reed walking in and looking at us, you know, and saying, this has never happened to me as a coach. I don't know what's going on, but I know it works. So we'll just continue to do what we do. And we won 12 straight games after that.
Mm. I think
So
that, yeah.
it's a great question. I wish I
Yeah.
had the answer to it. I don't know. I think the only folks who can speak candidly on it, and I think that's a pretty powerful quote by Travis, is that I think they're just as baffled and dumbfounded as we are.
No, and you're watching it and you're seeing it, and some of the stats, I think even when they were losing, they were like the second best EPA passing offense. Like the numbers are there, the plays are there, the guys are getting open, and obviously, like, okay, the downfield passing isn't what it used to be, but they've won 2 Super Bowls with the downfield passing not being what it used to be. That's what's so strange about it, is all the things that we say, oh well, this isn't happening, they don't, they're not getting open in man coverage. Well, they had these same weapons or worse weapons 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. They made the Super Bowl last year. Like,
Yeah.
we act like it's some fallen dynasty. It's like, guys, it's gonna be the first time in forever they didn't make the damn Super Bowl. So it's we'll keep an eye on it. Just as far as Mahomes goes, you mentioned the growth there. So you were with him when during the year that everybody talks about, which is the year he was not the starter. Alex Smith was there, and Mike Kafka is basically his personal coach, and Eric Bieniemy and Doug Peterson are running the offense, right? Matt Nagy, excuse me, Matt Nagy, you're running, running the offense. There's just so many who became head coaches. It's like Matt Nagy and Eric Bieniemy, and Andy are heading the Kafka's with Mahomes. So all Mahomes can do is test his limits in practice. That's all he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Is just throw these crazy throws and just show what's possible, and even just find out. And this is so valuable when thinking enough about it. Like, hey, this pass worked at the Big 12 level. Let's see if it works against Marcus Peters. Take me through what watching Mahomes as a rookie in practice was like.
Yeah, I mean, that's a super solid question, and I wish I had a sexier answer, but I broke my foot early on,
Yeah.
and I was just fighting to survive, and that might be
you weren't looking up when the pass was in the air.
No,
You're like,
I
I'm
was just
focused
like,
on getting healthy.
My foot hurts so bad. But we were all when Pat got drafted, we immediately knew he was a great dude, and I think that's half the battle in regards to winning over a locker room. I was a young player, and Alex was my Q, right? So we were a little bit. It's hard to say protective of a guy who's almost a decade older than you are, but we were fairly protective of Alex. Like we were all a little bit skeptical, or at least I was. And the joke's on me, because Pat's turned into this transcendent football player who's an exceptional person, even better football player, handles his business on and off the field. I do remember seeing a few passes that were a little bit spicy, but you talk to guys like Derek Johnson or Eric Berry, all these guys, they have way better stories in regards to that, because they're the ones, getting proverbially diced up in practice by that dude.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably more. It probably resonates more if you're getting destroyed by him than if you're just standing around.
I will say when he got the bump to go play in Denver, that first year in 2017 when he played at the end when they were sitting guys, and I'd already had my foot surgery and I was watching on TV, couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I was like, this guy, and you kind of chalk it up to he's got nothing to lose, let's let it all out. But that's just the style of play that this dude rocks with. When he was able to do that with the starting offense week after week in 2018, I mean, we were just along for the ride. It was awesome.
This Bills team, you played there. You mentioned way more time on task with Josh Allen than any other quarterback. You were just there. I'm going to start here. If they win the Super Bowl this year, it's because of what?
If they win the Super Bowl this year, it's because, oh man, there's so many things you could put into that. I'll say the two things that pop up to me is that Josh continues just being himself and Superman. And I think there's a national narrative that talks about he needs more weapons. He needs to dial it down. And my thought is the exact opposite. I'm like, this is how he plays. This is what makes him comfortable on the football field. Let his freak flag fly. And then the second thing I think is more explosive plays on defense like we've seen the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen Christian Benford kind of absolutely go bananas. We see a defense who's really doing a better job using their hands, stopping the run. Second level defenders coming in. Shaq Thompson's come in, a guy because he's replacing right now Terrell Bernard, who is the heartbeat of this defense and a guy who needs to be in there again. You're seeing a guy like that interject some energy at the end of his career. I would just say more explosive plays on defense, which they've been doing the last 2 weeks, and letting Josh continue letting his freak flag fly.
Okay. What does that mean to you? When you say freak flag fly, I know what that means. That means him taking chances. That means I have a funny story. Brandon Beane was on the show 18 months ago, and he said he will never get on Josh for making a mistake. And I sailed a pass because I was trying to do too much, whatever. He will when he runs out and just hits Kyle Van Noy for no reason just because he wants to, which I think maybe Brandon was being extremely specific, but lowering your shoulder into saying, I'm going to take this extra hit. And then I got to be honest with you. I think that the Bills realize, as you're saying, he likes hitting Kyle Van Noy for no reason. That's what he likes doing. So when you say let your freak flag fly, do you mean that just taking all of the Josh Allen experience and just letting it go?
Yeah, don't limit the Josh Allen experience. Whatever the Josh Allen experience is dictated for that day, whether it's using his legs or it's taking those shots. I mean, it's a very fluid thing. I think when you try to limit what he's supposed to do, they never do. But even if he limits himself, I'm not going to speak in the psyche of Josh because it's a pretty interesting deal. But yeah, I mean, you saw it last week, 3rd and 15. In the 2-minute drill, you knew, you just felt since he had an opportunity to get back in this if they got the ball down. He just navigated the pocket, banged off 15 yards, slid. I mean, just little things like that, eluding folks, extending the play when you're like, throw it away, and then he goes for it. He is the master of his own limitations. So I'm just saying he understands more than anything. Let's just buckle in and let the dude do his thing, and let's go along for a ride.
I think he's the best player in the world right now. I think if you were doing a draft and you were just drafting every single player, I think Josh Allen's 1-1 right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I would 1,000% agree.
And listen, there's guys who in a vacuum, if they're all healthy, it's a different conversation. Obviously Mahomes, obviously Lamar Jackson, obviously Joe Burrow. But we're talking about right on December 10th, someone's got to win a game on December 17th or whatever. I'm taking Josh Allen 1-1. You were there for his rise. And what's funny is Josh has kind of become the patron saint of quarterback improvement. And now anytime, and it's funny because it used to be my boss, Peyton Manning, where he threw the 28 interceptions his rookie year. And so anybody who had a bad year, well, Peyton Manning, blah, blah, blah. But with Josh, he comes in the league and he just gets better every single year. And there's a lot that goes on with that. And Brian Daboll played a role, and the infrastructure there played a role, and Brandon Beane played a role, offensive line, everybody played a role. But having a front row seat to that, even though you were turned backwards to it, having a front row seat to that, what do you think the key was that other teams can take from Josh Allen's improvement? Because it's the holy grail for any teams to have an improvement like that for a prospect.
Yeah, another great question, and something we don't see enough in the league. I get it. It's a win now league because your job is on the line, like your ass is on the line, but it's patience. And it's knowing when to push and when to pull back the reins. Like you talked about it. Brandon Beane's not going to get upset if he throws the ball away or if he makes a terrible pass, whatever you want to call it, because he knows what he can do. And he only was able to do that by just having time and time again an opportunity to let it fly. And I mean, I was also there with Pat when he sat behind Alex. I know that narrative's overplayed, but you can't refute the fact that that played a major role in his development. But just franchises and teams, especially these quarterbacks being brought in, don't have that luxury, and I totally understand. It's the nature of the beast. And you can't ask every single guy to sit back because some guys are ready to play quicker than others. But you have to be able to look at a Jackson Darter. You have to be able to look at a Shedeur Sanders in these moments right now. It might not be pretty. You might have an opportunity to dog their ass, but they're going to be better players for it. And they're also going to be better players for it for kind of getting a little criticism. Welcome to the NFL experience, man. You have the reins to the castle. It's the most pressure-packed, in my opinion, pressure-packed position in all of sports, and rightfully so. That is the one person you have to win a football game. It does not matter what else. So anything you can. If you believe in a guy, empower him. Because both of those guys were empowered by guys who meant the most, which was the head quarterback, their position coaches, and the guys in that locker room. And when you have that freedom to play. Shoot, man, development's it's a beautiful thing.
Did you get the sense you were there in 2019? Did you get the sense? Can you give me an example, I guess, of the team empowering him? Even when Josh, I mean, we remember the thing with Josh was there were these plays, especially in his first 2 years, where you'd take a screen grab of him and you'd say, "You'll never believe how this play ends." And now that could be either way. That could be he hit a 60-yard completion, or it could be he accidentally fumbled. Whatever. It was a wild ride because he was such a unicorn at the position. Can you give me an example of how specifically they empowered him during that
How
rise?
specifically empowered him? I mean, more than anything, it was just. I can't speak on how they specifically empowered him. I know that when he made mistakes, he's his own biggest critic. Rarely do you see him getting dog cussed because he's going to come out there and learn from his own, like any really good competitive player. The one instance that I remember during that 2019 season, my first year there, where I knew this dude had that competitive fire. Which you think of competitive fire, you think of it manifesting as some rah-rah thing, and he has got a little bit of that, but it's almost this glaze in your eye when you're just like going to will your team to win. And it was in 2019 we played the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It was a 4th and 1 QB sneak. I botched the snap, and I'm immediately I'm like, oh, this play's over. And then you just hear the crowd. The play is still going. And I look up, and this man is dodging, weaving, willing himself over the first down marker, and just the amount of juice that gave him and the players, and we were able to go down and I think score. For some reason, that was such a pivotal moment for me, knowing when Josh was going to be that guy, and it was off of one of my biggest mess ups in my career. It was amazing. It was great.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Awesome. All right, some rapid fire for you. Hardest defensive lineman you ever had to block?
Well, at the time and the place, my rookie year, Geno Atkins doesn't get as many flowers as he deserves. I think Cam Hayward every time you play him, and I'm excluding Aaron Donald because he's in a category of his own, right?
He's also been mentioned on the show 400 times,
right? So I'm just gonna everyone knows he might be one of the greatest players to ever play, if not the greatest. And I know that Lawrence Taylor is amazing, but I definitely have bias because I've actually played Aaron Donald. But I would also say in 2022 or 2023 we played Dexter Lawrence. And the man is he's a different breed of human. And just his ability to have secondary moves, his first initial move, and we might not see the production now, but that's because everyone is cognizant. As one dude, no matter what production you see, on Wednesday when the offensive coordinator is introducing the defense, you circle the man and say, if you let this guy get going, we're going to have a serious problem. Also, I would say Micah Parsons is one of the most special football players I've ever seen in my entire life. And I hate the fact that he rushes from everywhere on the field because we had to change our entire protection package, completely new rules to dictate how to help that guy. And I remember throwing my hands and punching him as hard as I could. I thought I was going to break his chest. And he just did this weird shimmy and still somehow almost sacked the quarterback. An exceptional football player.
It's like an action movie villain. You totally no-sold your punch.
No, it was truly one of the most incredible. It was humbling. I mean, I felt really good about myself, and somehow I was still looking back at him trying to murder the quarterback. The man is a freak, and when he went to Green Bay and got paid, I mean, it will not be enough money no matter how much money you throw at that dude. Truly incredible.
Completely agree. All right, we do something called Badasses. Badass Wall. It'll go up here. Badass Wall is brought to you by Manscaped. Step up your grooming game with the precision tools that make you look sharp and feel confident. Available at Target. And it's just the most badass person you've ever played with, and why that is. And a lot of times, guys, especially like you played on some really good teams.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of one, but give me one. Give me Mitch Morse's badass.
Mitch Morse's badass. I have two of them.
Okay,
all right.
That's
I
fine.
have two of them, and they're probably not talked about enough. And we're going to exclude everyone from Buffalo because I definitely have a Homer vibe from there. So it's in Kansas City. A guy named Derek Johnson played the game violently. He did not care about his well-being when he played. He was a very kind player, and he was a monster. And then another badass who's starting to finally get their flowers just a little bit is here for the hometown team, Jacksonville Jaguars, and his name is Foye Oluokun. That man is an absolute pig savage on the field. It's his sixth season with over 100 tackles, how it goes is the way he goes. The defense does not matter if the team is 2-4 or 9-4. The man is a consummate professional and plays with his hair on fire. He is an absolute badass.
You live in North Florida. You make your home there. Tell me something. So I like North Florida. I'm from Central Florida in Orlando. I went to school at Miami, but then I spend time in North Florida. I actually lived there during COVID for a few months. Tell me why you like Northeast Florida.
What I really love about North Florida, and this does not take away from any other part of Florida, but South Florida's definitely got a little bit of a vibe to it where I feel like you got to dress up a little bit. You got to kind of do your thing. North Florida feels like just an extension of Georgia. It's got this kind of, and where we live specifically, it's just got this small town vibe where I can take my kids to school in a golf cart. You can kind of be a little stinky. You can still do your thing. I mean, there's definitely cheese around here, like some serious cheese, but no one's showing it. You can kind of be nonchalant. The neighbors are rolling up super tight doobies, which you're smelling on the weekdays. And, it's just a fun place to be. Everything's about family, it seems like.
Yeah.
And the folks seem to thrive here, which is cool, man. It's just a good place to be.
Anything north of Gainesville, they call South Georgia.
Yeah, I can believe that.
You can believe that. And then the other thing is, if you want to get out of the zone in South Florida of everything, you have to dress up and wear a sport jacket.
Yeah.
You go down to the Keys. You got to keep going south.
Yeah.
You got to keep going south. So either you got to go far north or far south in order to get the kind of Jimmy Buffett vibes that people are going to associate with Florida. Because you got to Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach, you're going to have to wear a sport jacket. Get down to the Keys. Go visit Jimmy Johnson down there. We're all good. All right, last thing for you. We're doing this recently, and we've had a lot of success with it. And you can take it anywhere you want. The funniest thing you've ever heard in a football field. Could be trash talk, could be a conversation, could be just something crazy that you overheard that you would never in a million years think about. We can also extend that to locker room. Just like on game day, the thing you think about that makes you laugh the most, and you don't, is I don't think really anybody has given a name because sometimes these things can get very sensitive. Yeah, so you have the floor.
Yeah, okay. Excluding names gives me a lot more leniency because there's some things you go home and you're like, I cannot believe this dude was able to function with what was going on. I mean, just seeing dudes show up absolutely blazed. I mean, to a point where they talked about how much they did, and I couldn't believe they functioned and played their tails off. A pretty prominent defensive lineman my rookie year. We were going to playoffs. We were trying to fight for the playoffs. They were out of it. Offered to pay me to kind of cash it in.
What?
Yeah, he was just kind of, and then my guard came and clocked him, and then it was game on from there. I mean, the man turned into an absolute warrior. But the funniest thing that I think I can talk about with putting names is in 2023, I was feeling a little under the weather, so I got 2 IVs, and they're called ringer bags, so it's extra salt. And I'm in a play action pass in the fourth quarter, and I just deuce my pants quickly and violently. And I just run off the field, and they somehow know. And I go into the concussion tent, and I've had a bunch of concussions in my career, so my family's like freaking out. And then I come out, play the game later, and they called it a wardrobe malfunction. So if you ever see something that says a wardrobe malfunction on a report about a medical thing, that's someone who deuced their pants.
How often does this happen, Mitch? Not to you, but how often do guys deuce their pants?
I would say, man, I think my last year in Buffalo, we had 5 guys deuce their pants, maybe 3 or 4. Man, the Holy Spirit just takes over sometimes, and it was crazy. Of course, it was diabolically embarrassing, but it's the nature of the beast. Guys had a good laugh about it. Of course, it was mid-drive, and I just run off the field. But there was no way I was putting Josh in a position where he had to go under center.
Yeah, of course not.
And we were wearing blue jerseys with white pants, so I knew I had to get off as quickly as possible, or there'd be a scene of the crime. And these guys, Jeff Mazurek and the crew, who's the equipment guy there, had it down packed. So I missed 2 plays, and I was back out cleaner and more refreshed and lighter than I was prior.
You had to go to the blue medical tent?
Blue medical tent, man.
Because you pooped yourself.
Because I pooped myself. Yeah, so my family was so jacked up. They're like, we're so glad you pooped your pants and you didn't have your 1 billionth concussion. So, yeah, it's part of the gig. You know, it's one of those things that crossed a bear. It was going to come out at some point, so I thought I'd get ahead of it.
Well, Mitch Morse, that was a great way to end. Thank you. Monday Mornings with Mitch is the pod. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in North Florida soon.
Come on. Let's go hang. Appreciate it, buddy. It means a ton.